thanks for stopping by our show today, the Tracie Austin Show. We're glad you could join us on this episode. We've got a really great episode coming to you today. Two great guys, two good old Southern boys that talk the talk and walk the walk, the paranormal walk, that is, as lead investigators for the RIP team, Richmond Investigators of the Paranormal, headquartered in Richmond, Virginia. Both use their professional backgrounds to investigate all types of paranormal activity to either prove or disprove its presence. We have Big Ray, 20 plus years in the US military, a medical guy and a former private investigator. And KB has 20 plus years as a Virginia police officer. Hi guys, how are you?
Hey, glad to be on the world famous Tracie Austin Show. It's with Big Ray and I.
Yep. Hey.
And
thanks for having us on.
Yeah, we're thrilled to be on it because Big Ray and I are usually hosting and the night we're guests.
Walking around in the dark, looking into things.
You're right about that.
Well, I have to tell you, folks, our viewers, that, Big Ray and KB, well, KB especially, had said to me, please tell your audience that you must read a disclaimer before we begin the show because he cannot be responsible for any cracked TV screens, laptop monitors, or anything else that goes wrong.
I mean, yes. I mean, look at this.
I'm gonna hurt you.
I mean, hey, look, it's scary enough. I'm the old guy on the team, and Big Ray called me Pops because I'm the old guy. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm 64 years old, and I have a little age on me, and did my 30 years as law enforcement, and Big Ray and I do a Paranormal talk radio show, and our group
hunt ghosts. We're ghost hunters.
Yeah, and UFOs and the whole nine yards.
Debunkers. We like to debunk.
Yeah.
Right.
And if we can debunk it, we're okay.
Well, KB, now you used to be the police officer. You're now retired, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you guys, you used to be an investigator, Big Ray, a personal investigator, private investigator.
And
okay.
I was what's called in the military an observer, trainer, controller.
Okay. So you bring all of your paranormal stories and other people's encounters to life on RIP Paranormal Talk Radio.
Right.
Now, how do you go from being a police officer and a private investigator to a paranormal investigator?
Yeah. Well, started out with me starting to write a book and went back home to take a picture of the old house, which was haunted, and never captured anything. And lo and behold, I captured a ghost in front of the house, the very first picture I took. And then I went to a cemetery of a friend of ours where a ghost is seen, and I captured an orb, and I never captured anything. So then I had experiences, but then that's what propelled me into wanting to actually capture evidence that it was there. Mm-hmm. KB.
And what about you, KB? How did it all happen for you?
We ran into KB. Terry
almost hit me with the car.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I almost hit him with the car. Terry and I get teamed together and ran into KB almost, and we talked to him, and he was interested in the paranormal. We were going to investigate one of the local battlefields here, the Gaines Mill battlefield to be specific, and went down there, and the chemistry just hit it off, and we captured a lot of evidence that night. We saw full-bodied apparition, sounded like a ghost, a horse running across the stream. It was the very first reported bayonet charge of the Civil War happened at that battlefield. And we captured a lot of evidence, and so we hit it off, and I was doing a little show, and KB was on, and brought KB on, and it's been we've been doing it ever since.
Big Ray, you're no longer a private investigator, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So how did you guys get involved with paranormal investigations?
Well, myself started Thanksgiving 2000, and was working on writing a book. Went back to the old home place, which was haunted. Took a picture. Later found that there was a ghost captured in the image. Had gone up to a cemetery at a friend's of mine where a female ghost is seen walking through an old cemetery. captured an orb there. I had never captured any type of paranormal activity ever. And so then our family's full of paranormal history, people having experiences. So I decided I wanted to get into paranormal investigating and see what we could capture. Ran into a friend, Terry, and we started investigating, and then ran into KB out near the Gaines Mill battlefield, and we took him down there, saw a full-bodied apparition, sounded like a ghost horse running across the creek. There was ectoplasm, a blue ectoplasmic mist on the other side of the bridge. And so the chemistry just hit off, and we started investigating the paranormal and got to talking about it and started doing the show. And, this is where we end up at on your show. So thank you.
You're very welcome. So are you guys the only guys out in Virginia that are investigating the paranormal then?
Oh, no, there's other groups out in Virginia that investigate, but our group, we're licensed in the Circuit Court of Virginia, and we're LLC in the state of Virginia. So we're licensed in the state of Virginia, where you have a lot of groups just do it as a hobby. We take our job serious, and so we're licensed as a business. And like Big Ray now said, I did radio years ago with Oldie Goldies, and Ray and I got together. And we got together, started off with really a blog talk show. And I told Big Ray, let me make a few phone calls. And I called a buddy down at the radio station and gave him a pitch what we wanted to do. And they liked it. And so here we are.
And here we are at the Tracie Austin Show.
That's right.
You got it.
So what do you guys investigate exactly? Is it strictly the paranormal, or is it UFOs? Is it a combination?
Well, we investigate about any type of paranormal activity. We now have several fellows on the team that does the UFO side. Wilbur Allen, Ben Gagnon, Wilbur Allen, and Tony Angola.
Yeah.
And they pretty much investigate the paranormal UFO side. We pretty much do hauntings, that kind of thing.
And did you say you've been investigating now for 16 years with?
About 16 years, yeah.
About 16.
About 16 years. So, KB, do you miss being a police officer?
I did for a while, but now, no. Once I retired, I was glad to get out of it.
Really?
It was a stress, yeah. But now I'm enjoying life. Like I said, Big Ray now doing the TV show, we investigate.
Yeah.
And we have one of the top-notch paranormal UFO teams around. So,
we use everybody's experience. Like I say, I was an observer trainer controller in the military, from a squad size up to battalion size of men and women. And so we use that KB's police officer skills, investigating and dealing with the public. And then we have a construction worker on the team. We have a head maintenance person on the team. So we're used to dealing with anomalies that aren't anomalies in building structures, plumbing, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and we got
another retired police officer on the team.
TV personalities on our team. One guy from the White House. So we got a variety of people on our team.
So we can pretty cover.
And I thought that being a police officer would never leave your blood, KB.
Well, it's always going to be in the blood as a police officer. I still go to restaurants. I don't sit out in the middle of the floor. I got to have my back against the wall. So that's an old thing. And when Ray and I, and when we go out and investigate, we actually investigate the investigation as a crime scene.
Yeah.
We got to know the history of it, what happened, when it happened, and so it's like putting a puzzle together. So we have to investigate it just like we would at a crime scene.
An actual crime scene. Okay. Well, let's have a look at one of your photos that you sent to us today. You guys were actually on the front cover of Style Weekly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. That was
a rough-looking picture of me. I don't even you're talking about scary. Let me tell you, that's scary.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Yes.
No, actually, it's a really great cover, as our viewers can see. What was the investigation that you did for that cover?
That was the Hollywood Cemetery, I believe.
I think it was.
It was the Hollywood Cemetery, one of the oldest cemeteries in Virginia. and that was one of the Hollywood cemeteries that we went and investigated, and
The purported
in that area.
vampire
Yeah,
is buried there.
yeah, Virginia vampires buried there.
It's a very historical, a lot of Civil War soldiers there, a lot of Civil War men, women, generals,
Kids.
kids.
And the dog.
Yeah, it's a very haunted place.
Did you capture anything on photograph or film?
I didn't catch anything at the Hollywood. Like I said, later that night, Big Ray and I and the team members, we went down to the Poe Museum down in Virginia, down at the Chicago Bottom area. And we investigated the Poe House that night. Yeah. And we got a lot of great stuff in the Poe House.
Do an investigation, pack up, go to another place. We actually captured quite a bit of evidence at the Poe Museum, which is the first structure built in the Richmond area from back in the colonial days.
Well, hold that thought, guys. We're going to take a quick break here, a few words from our sponsor, and we will be right back with KB and Big Ray. The Tracie Austin Show would like to thank our sponsor, Zohar Stargate TV. And for more information about our sponsor, please visit zoharstargate.com. So guys, let's have a look at one of the other photographs that you had sent to us. We are looking here at Tuckahoe Plantation. Tell us a little bit about Tuckahoe.
Tuckahoe Plantation was actually the childhood home of Thomas Jefferson. He went there. We were invited out to investigate it because they had different paranormal activities going. There's the Ghost Walk. L.B. Taylor Jr., a buddy of ours, that wrote a story about the Ghost Walk, the lady in white. We actually captured ectoplasm mist there in the Ghost Walk. I almost ran into the ghost. I thought it was KB. In the dark, we'll walk along, look at their cameras, and I stopped short because I thought KB had done stopped in front of me, and I was actually face to face with the female ghost on the walk.
Really?
And, yes. I wasn't scared or anything. It didn't scare me, but it kind of took me aback, of course. But we had that experience on there. Didn't capture it on tape, unfortunately. But we had a lot of different experiences. We captured a headless guy. I was taking a picture of KB out in one of the areas, and we didn't know this till later, but that might be the picture we sent you of the headless man.
Yes, and I'm looking at that photograph right now. And just tell me what's going on here, because we see part of somebody dressed in white.
Right.
Yeah, that's
the entity.
That's the entity.
Yeah. If you look at it, it looks more like 1700 type of garb, man's shirt. So I was just we're doing an EVP session, and I take pictures of KB. KB takes pictures of me. We take pictures of the other team. But I'm taking a picture of KB, and the next day we're going through, and I see this headless guy there, and so. We don't know who he was or is, but yeah, he's definitely as solid as you are and I am, as you see in the picture. The other thing we saw that night, well, there was a lot, but as we were packing up leaving, one of our teammates was walking in with me. We were going to see our host, Ted, and tell him good night and thanks for having us. We're walking up to the house, and we both see a blonde-haired woman looking out the window at us.
Yeah.
So I'm walking up to the door, and he says, well, we can't get in there. They locked that. So we go to the left, go in the main door, and there's nobody there. There's nobody on the floor. So I yell down to Ted, who's in the basement, and ask him, who the blonde-haired woman is and how did she get here past us. And he said, there's nobody here by that description, but he says, let me show you a picture. And he goes into a little table by the door and takes a picture out, and there is a picture of a blonde-haired ghost that they had captured in that area that he did not tell us about earlier.
If I remember right, I think he said that they called the ghost Sarah.
I think it is, yeah.
If I remembered right from that investigation. And it was funny when he showed us the picture, the guy that he showed a picture to, they actually turned kind of white. because it was actually what they saw in the window was the woman in the picture.
Right.
And this house, you got to remember, it doesn't look that big on the outside. It's shaped just like an H.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the biggest plantations around.
Right. So have you guys looked into the history of this to find out who was living there?
Well, there's a cemetery on the property with a lot of the former residents now lying at rest there. So it could be any one of those people. So it's really kind of hard to tell, but looking at it and being a history buff and comparing it to some pictures, that entity to me looks like it's, you know, the ruffled kind of collar, a worker's collar. Sure.
Right. And there's also the photograph that you sent of a sleeve here, a lace sleeve.
Right.
With a hand. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that was at the Wilton House Museum. We investigated that one a couple times, had a lot of paranormal experience there. But one of our teammates took that picture, and everybody's like, "Ooh, look, it's a ghost." But I took and looked at it, blew it up on the computer, and compared it to where we were at, and it was a picture of one of the I forget which one of the
kids.
Well, when the what's those guys' name? I can't remember that. Anyway, what the original property owners wearing the lace sleeve. So it's actually I'm holding like his hand like this in a lace sleeve, and so it's not a ghost baby or anything like that. It's just a hand with a ruffled sleeve.
So at what point did you guys decide to debunk this photo?
When they started calling it a ghost. And I said, that does not look like a ghost. At first I did. I thought it was, well, maybe a baby or...
Yeah, we have to really check it out. We have to put it through the computer. We have to blow it up. Before we can say it's any type of paranormal picture, we have to really, really thoroughly investigate this
print
picture.
It off, go back to the area.
Look at it, the whole 9 yards. So, you know, we got this old motto. We go out and investigate a place up in Warsaw, Virginia. And we tell anybody, just because you say the place is haunted, and you want the publicity, we're not going to come there and investigate and tell you, okay, the place is haunted until we actually investigate it. If we feel that it has paranormal activity, we'll tell you, and we'll give you a copy of the investigation on a CD. But we're not going to sit there and tell the public that this place has paranormal activity, and it doesn't. You know, we got our reputation on the line as investigators. What it is what it is. If we don't find it that night, it doesn't mean that paranormal activity is not there. You know, if need be, we'll go back and do it again. Yeah, we just didn't catch it.
So are you guys taking any kind of tools with you, any investigative paranormal tools? You know, dowsing rods?
Yeah, we use the cameras, you know, thermals, K2 meters, digital cameras, dowsing rods. I like to use dowsing rods. They work for me very well. They don't work for KB at all. They will not work for him, no matter where we've been. I had a house sold last year that was so haunted, we used it as a training facility for the team.
Yeah.
And other teams. We used to help train other teams. And there was 2 spots in that house. You walk past that area of dowsing rods, they cross every time, 100%, except when KB and maybe one other person would walk through that area.
Yeah.
So the dowsing rods, thermometers.
Yeah.
Digital thermometers. We use a Frank's box. What's the other?
K2 meters.
Not the Ovilus. We use the Ovilus as well. But the number one thing we use are our senses. So you know, we can nobody wears perfume.
Right.
On investigation. We, like one of our former teammates who moved to North Carolina, he had his olfactory, he had problems with his sinuses. He'd had 3 surgeries, couldn't smell a thing. Well, we were in one place down in Burkeville, and we came upstairs and we all smelled chocolate chip cookies baking. Now, the family had been gone for a while, so I didn't say anything. I never say anything. I was like, well, maybe I'm just me and I'm smelling it or doing whatever, and they're not. But one of the other gals said, do y'all smell chocolate chip cookies? And I said, yes, I do. And Tracie said, yes, he does. Now, I told Tracie, I said, how are you smelling those? You told me you had 3 operations. He's not supposed to be able to smell anything. And so, of course, I start grilling him because you're not supposed, you told me you can't do these things. If you can't do this, how can you smell cookies baking? And he had no explanation for that. And so that's when I came up with my thought of, we may not be seeing ghosts with our eyes, we may not be hearing them with our ears, we may not be smelling them with our nose, that these experiences might be impressed upon our minds, so to speak. So that's what I came up with that. That's my thought.
Yeah.
Well, they can come through any way, can't they? I mean, spirits can come through with sounds, smells, you know. There's nothing really, do you agree that there's nothing really paranormal about the paranormal? It's quite normal.
That's right. That's exactly what we say. The paranormal is normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it interacts with our world, and it's how we interact with it.
Yeah, and like you said, it could be abnormal.
Right.
Yeah. Well, 3 out of 4 people say, statistics show 3 out of 4 people have experienced the paranormal, and half of that, or believes in the paranormal, and half of those people have experienced it. So, you know, we run into people every day, probably just as you do, people with paranormal stories. Every day somebody's telling me something about ghosts.
And everybody's got a story.
Everybody's got a story.
Yeah.
If they have a family member that does, or a friend.
So before we move on to some of the other photographs, the other investigation that you've done at Battlefield, how did you guys become hosts of your own radio and TV show?
Well, started out wanting to teach people that the paranormal isn't always scary. And everybody has a story, like you said. So I was like, well, I want to tell my story. I want to help people tell their stories and educate people to know that the paranormal isn't always scary. So I was doing a show on Blog Talk, and KB had come on the team with us, and I said, KB, come on over and do the show with me, because I don't really like to talk a lot, believe it or not. And so brought KB on. We're doing Blog Talk, and KB had done radio. I'd done radio at the same station, I believe, at different times.
Yeah.
And he called up the manager, and
yeah, I called the manager up and gave me a pitch, because I think the only thing at that time was Coast to Coast AM. And Virginia had no other paranormal show around. So I gave him an idea, let's talk paranormal. You talk about everything else on the radio, sports, news, the weather, the whole 9 yards. So I came up with the thing, when we had a group at the time, it was called Ghost Raps Radio. That was the original name of the show, Ghost Raps. And as time progressed, we ended up changing the show, the format stayed the same, but we changed the name to make it more update.
yeah.
And we've been doing AM, FM radio, and hope to be soon be picked up by Sirius Satellite Radio. So, you know.
Fantastic.
And I enjoy it.
Great. Who are some of the best guests you've had on your show, apart from Tracie Austin?
Yeah. Well, Tracie Austin was one of our most favorite and prettiest guests, without a doubt.
But you know what? Can I say one thing, Big Ray?
Yes.
One thing about it, when she came, they're going to ask her one day, who's your prettiest guest on your show?
Yeah.
You know what she's going to say? Pretty ugly, Big Ray.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
We had great guests. Tell a film.
Well, we've had Chip Coffey.
Yeah.
Chip Coffey.
Yeah,
great.
Chip Coffey's been on. Tango, Bruce Tango from TAPS has been on. Let me see.
Jocelyn Brown from
Jocelyn Brown.
Haunted Collectors.
We've had, I'm kind of blanking out on names.
We had Barry Levinson from
Barry.
the original show, My Three Sons. He played the actor Ernie. We did a show with him about demons. We've had Butch Patrick from the Monsters.
Oh, Butch Patrick, right.
He's
a great guy, Butch Patrick. And we have the
Echo Bodine, Michael Bodine.
Michael Bodine. Michael Bodine was a psychic to the stars.
Yeah.
His favorite guest was Patrick Swayze. So he was his private psychic to Patrick Swayze, and he's been a guest. And then we've had the Hollywood director, a friend of yours, Tommy Bull. He did a movie with John Travolta and Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
And Nicolas Cage, we hope to have it on our show here in a few weeks. And so, like I said, we have not just people from Hollywood. We have your favorite paranormal television stars.
We had a lot of authors. Jeff Mudgett wrote Bloodstains, who's great-great-grandfather is most likely the
Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper.
Right.
And there's evidence to his great-great-grandfather was Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, we can't say too much, but some great things are coming out of this.
Edwin Becker. He was on. He was Edwin Becker. True Hauntings. The very first ever televised exorcism of a home or a cleansing was Edwin Becker. Him and his family.
Yeah, that was from the '73 on NBC Studios on NBC.
Tina Marie, she's our go-to psychic. She's really amazing. She'd be a good guest to have on your show as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Who else would you like to see yourself interview? If there's somebody out there that you'd really like on your show.
Well, I'm working on right now. I should have an answer sometime in a few weeks. I'm working on to get Sylvester Stallone on the show.
Really?
And I've talked to the agent for Sugar Ray Leonard. He's had some paranormal experiences, and like I said, Nicolas Cage is one of our guys we'll have on the show that will talk about his experience with the paranormal.
Michael Jackson's uncle.
Yeah, and also we're working on to have Dan Aykroyd, trying to get him to be a guest on our show. He's big into
UFOs and stuff like that. Yeah, that would be fantastic. Okay, guys, we just hold your thoughts right there. We're just going to hear a few words from our sponsor. We will be right back. The Tracie Austin Show would like to thank our sponsor, Zohar Stargate TV. And for more information about our sponsor, please visit zoharstargate.com. So, guys, just take us through this particular photograph on Battlefield. What are we seeing here?
Okay, that is an ectoplasmic mist entity of multiple orbs and what appears to be a skull that was captured on the battlefield of Gaines Mill near Cold Harbor battlefield outside Mechanicsville, Virginia. Was down there on the anniversary, and it was a pretty warm night, June, and the mosquitoes were horrible. KB got in the car because he couldn't take it, and so I toughed it out, and I had goosebumps on my legs. When I have goosebumps on my legs, I usually capture something on tape, video, or picture. So I start taking pictures, and later on we look at it, and that's what appears to be a skull. But what I found the most interesting about that picture, other than it is a great capture of orbs, mist, and a skull, but you can actually see a reflection of the flash of the light on the skull. I believe on the top right, if you're looking at the picture, top left maybe, but if you can see.
I definitely see the orb. I see the orb there right in the middle of the photo.
Yeah.
Where is the skull? Can you point out the skull?
The picture right in the middle of the picture, if it's the right.
With the orb?
Yeah.
Okay. What year was this, guys, that you investigated this?
I can't remember. It was about probably 6-8 years ago.
2000, maybe 2006 or 2007, something in that area. It's been a while.
Okay. And then you have some photographs as well in St. Albans. An ectoplasmic face appeared on the side of a brick wall. Can you talk us through this one?
Yeah, we investigated St. Albans insane asylum, and it was weird that we had some college students in that area who were trying to get into the insane asylum, so the sheriff's office was notified to patrol that area and to make sure that none of the younger not teenagers, but young adults would come in and try to interrupt the investigation. Big Ray decided to walk around the side of the building, and it was taking pictures from the outside of the building, and what appeared to be some type of I'm not looking at the picture now, but it appeared to be some type of skull or something within the picture.
It was actually a man with a bearded man on the side of the building there. That was taken at about 3 in the afternoon. And later that night, like KB said, there were some college kids trying to sneak on the property. I notified Roy, who was the host team. He called the law, put somebody on each corner of the building, make sure nobody could get in or out. The police officer showed up, and he goes around the side of the building, and of course, me being me and KB being he, said, "Come on, KB, let's go see what this guy's doing." So we walk around there right where you see that picture of the man, and the officer is shining his light up on the building.
Yeah, spotlight.
And so, yeah, spotlight. So we walk up and say, "What you doing?" And he says, fortunately, I had my recorder. So I leaned on the car and hooked my recorder over the window. And he says, "There's a woman up there." And I said, "Where?" And he said, "In that picture, that window up there," where he took the picture. So he described the woman, and we told him there's no woman in there.
Yeah.
We pulled everybody out, and he thought we were pulling his leg, and we thought, he was pulling theirs, and vice versa. And he kept going. I said, "Well, let's go in and find her then, if you think there is one." So we went through the whole building, didn't find her. But what was really cool about that officer seeing the ghost was Roy's wife's mother worked there when it was an insane asylum. And by his description, he knew who that woman was, and she had killed herself in that area. So that was pretty wild.
Did you guys get any EVPs from that investigation then?
We got amazing
We got
amount
some
of
amazing
evidence.
EVPs,
Really?
pictures,
Video. If you go
videos.
to the website bigrayandkb.com and go to the paranormal capture page and scroll down and watch the St. Albans video, you'll see a lot of captures there. It's one of the ones where I don't really get scared a lot, but I can tell you it made me say holy crap, because
can you say that?
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
I guess because there was a team there before us who saw a woman ghost come through this door. Well, KB was on one side, I was on the other. He had K2 meter, I had dowsing rods. There was a motion sensor light in the room to my left, KB's right, about 15 feet. And I'm going with the dowsing rods, what's your name? A, B, C. Anyway, I get to whatever letter, the dowsing rods cross, the K2 meter lights up, the motion light goes off, and the kitchen, the cafeteria had been lined with these carpet mats about 2 feet by 3 feet, and we had gone through and checked to make sure they were up there and well sealed. But same time that happened, two of those tiles just came ripping down off the wall, and Roy, our host guy, he's over to my right, and he says, "Where's my flashlight?" And I'm like, "Holy crap, dude, I don't know, but please find that thing, because I am not going to turn around here." And that was behind me. So yeah, that was I'd actually say I was definitely scared at that point. Now, KB would have taken you out.
Yeah, I would have taken you out.
But I'd stood my ground and wouldn't move.
Have you guys thought about then perhaps taking someone like Chip Coffey with you on your investigations? Maybe a psychic?
Yeah, we would like to have him come on to investigations, just to find out what are psychics and what he does, and see what have both of them come up with. If they come up with the same thing, So
we actually have one of our teammates is Tina. She's a very good psychic, and I'll tell you something out there that I won't put out there, but that she learned about me that nobody knows. And KB didn't even know.
No,
it's not a bad thing.
No, it's not. It's a good thing.
But she really is the real deal, and she's on the team. And we take her out. The way we do it, like KB says, we do like it's a police kind of thing. So we go up, we do our equipment, we do equipment sweeps, and the Tina has no idea. We keep her sequestered away from everybody, what we're talking about. And then we send her in to see what she finds out, and then we correlate all the data. And then we concentrate on those areas. So, yeah, having Chip along, but we also have Tina Marie out of Florida, and she does remotes for us before we go anywhere. And the stuff she comes up with is amazing as well.
So you guys are convinced now, after all these investigations, that there is an afterlife. There is something to all of this.
Well, I believe there's an afterlife. My thing, I think, is just like this. You and I are standing at a business and we're discussing something extremely important. All of a sudden, the brick falls off the wall, hits us in the head, and we die instant. We didn't get to finish our business. Are we still conducting that business? I mean, you know, that's the way I look at it. I mean, I could be wrong, but, you know, I needed to talk to you, and I dropped dead instant. Is my spirit still at the spot for this business? I don't know.
I believe there's an afterlife. I don't believe in streets of gold and everybody having a mansion. I don't subscribe to that kind of thing, but I absolutely 100% believe there is something after what we leave here.
Right.
But I will put lean-to in my yard when I get to the mansion, and so you'll have a place to stay. Don't worry about it.
Well, we'll be right back. Stay tuned, folks, for more with Big Ray and KB in just a moment. The Tracie Austin Show would like to thank our sponsor, Zohar Stargate TV. And for more information about our sponsor, please visit zoharstargate.com. So guys, just talk us through this particular photograph that we're seeing now, BR with spirits as it's listed.
Yes, that was this was taken near another 7 days battlefield, another battlefield. We were there and we were talking to the host, the client, and I'm looking at the client. My truck is to the right. You can see the skulls on the seat. Looks like on the right-hand side of the truck. And to my front, the way I'm looking, KB takes the picture, comes to me later and says, "Big Ray, check this out." And I'm like, "Holy crap, what is that?" And it looks like 3 nuns. And so he blows it up, and I don't know if you have that capability, but there's definitely 3 entities, and the one to the left looks like me.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
So the one to the far left does look just like me. So I'm there looking straight ahead, and there's me looking back at me. But if you look just above my hands, if you look there, you'll see a face looking back toward the camera. But if you look down, there's a set of feet, and I believe that's one of our people there working, getting some stuff out of that vehicle, whose feet's going the other way, but whatever it is looking back toward the camera.
That's a very, very weird photo.
That is, and it was you can see I'm wearing a jacket, but it wasn't, the point where you can see your breath or anything like that. So you can see the mist that wasn't there, ectoplasmic mist, 3 entities, and what looks like kind of a not so happy entity looking back toward the camera there.
How long ago was this investigation?
Last year.
Just last year.
Yeah. When I took the picture, some of the team members are getting some of the equipment out to use, and I saw, while they're out there doing their thing, I'll take pictures. And it amazed me that at first it looked like some type of hooded guys with a white hood or some type of dress code like that.
None.
And none. So I told Ray, I said, "Wow, this is wow." So I said, I took the camera and blew it up. And I was shocked to find out that the tallest nurse or the tallest object or Western white
whatever
entity, when I blew it up, I could see Ray's face in it. And I can't explain that, because Ray was standing out there when I took the picture. This entity took the form of Ray. As you can see, the entity is not as big as Ray.
No, it's not.
You blow it up, and you can actually see Ray's facial. And I still find it amazing.
It's freaky.
Very odd. Very odd.
Yeah, we use digital cameras, so that this has not been doctored or altered in any way. So what you see is what you see.
Right. Amazing. Is there a case out there, one of these really great cases that you've heard of that you wish you had both investigated?
Cases?
I can't think of any myself. I mean, we investigate some of the most historical plantations in the South. I mean, historical. We're talking about presidents, the whole 9 yards. I really can't think of anything that's impressed me. Like a lot of people like to go to some of these insane asylums. We've been there and done that.
You know?
Yeah.
But we don't pay. You know,
No.
a lot of these places are in
to make money.
business to make money.
Yeah.
And we don't. We've had people call us, well, we want you to, like KB was alluding to earlier, we're not going to go investigate a place just to build your reputation. We're going to do it if we can help you. And one of our questions is, why do you want us to do it? And what do you plan on doing with the information after, if we are able to obtain any? Otherwise, if it's not a good answer, like, you know, help them find out a family member, put somebody to rest, or help solve an issue, then we're not going to do it. And a lot of these places do. They call us up and say, hey, you know, you guys want to come up and investigate, like we had one not long ago, and it's only going to cost you $500 a piece to do it. Well, we don't do that.
No, you pay us to come out.
Yeah, for a couple hours, no. We don't do that. We're not in the business to do that. We're in the business to help people.
Right. So if there's any viewers today watching our show that are in Virginia and they need you guys' help with the investigation of what's going on in their property, how would they contact you?
Well, first off, I want to say, if you see Granddaddy in your bedroom or in your house, we don't need to come and investigate it. That's your Granddaddy. However,
you can go to our website, bigrainkb.com, or you can call us. I'll put it out there. It's area code 804-437-5942. We can be reached that way. And like I said,
our
Big
website,
Ray,
Big Ray KB, go to the contact page,
And,
send us an email.
we'll do Virginia. Any way they call us, we'll go to, you know, if they need us.
Yeah.
Is there a case that you're currently working on right now?
Not right
Couple,
now.
well, we actually
Except
have
the one you got, the one coming
Yeah,
up.
we got it's kind of weird. Mechanicsville, a lot of people probably don't know. Well, what's Mechanicsville? Well, Mechanicsville's on the western part of Richmond. There's many battlefields out here. Gaines Mill, Cole Harbor, Battle of Yellow Tavern, not far from where we are right here. So there's a lot of them. The entities are all around us.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, so we this one is over near where KB's lives at. It's actually a storage facility where they've seen
you're right.
Confederate soldiers walking around in the buildings and outside the buildings. So we are going to be going over there fairly soon.
Yeah, I forgot all about that
Yeah,
one.
it's all right. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, it came up kind of recent.
Okay. Are you guys thinking of writing a book by any chance?
If anybody writes a book, it's going to have to be Big Ray. I mean, you know, I don't.
That's
do
not
a lot
your
of writing.
forte.
I had to put mine on a recorder.
Yeah, and well, I've been working on a book for a long time about my family. The family history, like I mentioned earlier, goes way back paranormal experiences with my grandparents, both sides of the family. So I've been working on that for years, but every time I get ready to do something with it, somebody else comes with the new story, and so the cycle continues.
Right. So what is the name of your website, guys? How can people reach you?
Yeah, it's Richmond Investigators of the Paranormal, but if you want to go to our website to check us out, it's www.bigrayandkb.com. And
That's it.
that's it. Simple website, bigrayandkb.com. They can go there on site. They can listen to the radio show and things of this nature.
Check out some of our investigations.
Yeah, check out investigations and listen to some of the past shows. So we're not hard to find.
Would you guys consider, going to a different state to do some investigations?
We've done that.
Yeah.
We've
done
done that.
that.
And people call us.
Pennsylvania, West Virginia,
Yeah.
North Carolina. So we're Richmond Investigators of the Paranormal, not the East Coast. There are groups like that kind of name, but we have enough paranormal activity going on in our area to keep us busy and to help the folks around here.
Great.
We do have a pretty good relationship with a lot of other teams, so if we can't get there, we can recommend teams that are on the up and up.
Right.
That can help out.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you two. And I have to say, I've never met a more cheerful police officer.
Yeah.
You smile all the time.
Yeah, he does. He's the left brain one.
I'm the left brainer.
Yeah, he's the left brainer. He comes up with some of the stuff that you wouldn't believe, and then I'm left saying, okay, how are we going to make this happen? And
well, thank you guys, and thank you to you folks at home watching our show today. Stay tuned with us for more episodes, and stay tuned with us to explore more of the paranormal. Until next time, bye-bye. The Tracie Austin Show would like to thank our sponsor, Zohar Stargate TV. And for more information about our sponsor, please visit zoharstargate.com.